Hey, Jacob.
Honestly,
Shut her down.
guys, honestly, I'm just getting touchy right.
You do Mike.
I'm sorry. But Jesus is just this good. I swear I'm not an emotional person. I don't know what's happening right now, apart from I just want more of Jesus. I just want more of him. I've never cried in front of this many people in my life. I swear, it's just like, I don't know, God's just doing something in my heart lately. I want more of him. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone just want more of Jesus?
Yes.
Gosh, there's no way to start a message.
Yes, it is.
Golly. I just don't even know where to go, what to do. I guess I'll just stick with what I got. But, guys, I don't know, I'm coming into this, my name's Jacob. I'm from Australia. I've been in America for 3 years, working with Carry the Love, traveling around preaching the gospel. And yeah, it's incredible. It's just, my heart longs for people just to know Jesus. My heart burns for people just to encounter his goodness. People aren't aware of what they're missing out on. People don't know what they're missing. They don't know him. They've heard a lot about him, but they don't know him. And yeah, I don't know. I guess tonight, what I wanted to talk about and what I'm going to go into is, what is Christianity? What does it mean to be a Christian? What does that look like to you, to me, to everyone else in this world? And it looks like Jesus. It really does. I think for so long the church has been tainted. Christianity has been tainted with so many different opinions, so many different definitions. People see Christianity in different ways. I promise you that if we were to ask every single person in this room alone what Christianity meant or what it meant to you, we would have so many different responses in this room. So many different answers of what Christianity truly looks like. And even in America, there's 80% of Americans claim to be Christian. 80%. I promise you, if that was true, America would look completely different to how it does today. So then what are people claiming? What is Christianity? We hear it all the time, going from college campus to college campus. Well, hey, you saved? Do you know Jesus? Well, I haven't gone to church in a long time. You know, church doesn't make you a Christian. It doesn't save you. Yes, it's good. Go to church, but it's not the thing that saves you.
Yeah.
My dad, growing up, terrible dad jokes. He goes, going to church doesn't make you a Christian as much as going to McDonald's makes you a hamburger.
No.
It's true. Just because you go to a place every Sunday doesn't mean that you're saved. You know how easy it is to put a mask on for 2 hours once a week to pretend that you know God,
Right.
to pretend that your life is okay, to pretend that you're walking in freedom and in relationship with Jesus. Do you know how easy that is to fool someone? I did it for so long. It's crazy. Some people might even go look at some people who are like walking in the giftings, like healing the sick, preaching the gospel, casting out demons, prophesying, all these things. And they go, wow, that person must be saved. That person must have an incredible relationship with Jesus. And I go, that's not even it.
Yeah.
Because Matthew 7 says, many will come to me in the last days and say, Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we cast out demons in your name? Didn't we heal the sick in your name? And he will say, depart from me, I never knew you. What does Christianity look like? What is it? What's the true form? Because it's so been tainted in our generation. And so tonight I want to talk just a little bit about that. I'm trying to get myself back together. Have grace, have mercy. God did. He tells us to, so please. But seriously, Christianity is simply, I've been trying to come up with the simplest form of Christianity. And it's someone, in my mind, that just goes completely bananas for Jesus. Bananas. Someone, and what I mean by that, like, you know how you go bananas? That's an old saying, right? An old saying, no one's heard of it, which is the response to deadness. Basically, what I'm saying is Christianity is someone that's just so in love with Jesus. Someone that desires to be with him. Someone that seeks to be in his presence. Someone that just wants to be with him, walk with him, talk with him, be with him. This is what Christianity looks like.
Yeah.
Someone that just wants to know him. Set their gaze upon him. Psalm 27 says this. David got it. In verse 4 it says, one thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. Is that our hearts today? Are we crying to Jesus and saying, Jesus, one thing I seek is to just be in your presence 24/7 for the rest of my life, that I could just look at you. Look at your beauty. Gaze upon you. To seek you. Is that the Christianity that we're representing today? Do we desire Jesus in this way? I know that I haven't. I'm reading the Bible and going, it's all about Jesus. I need my life to represent this, that I want that. I want to be able to just say, Jesus, all I want in my life is to seek you. God, I don't care about wealth. I don't care about money. I don't care about comfort. I don't care about popularity or fame. Let me just seek you and know you. Moses, again, we see God says, hey, go, you have the promises. I'll give you the things that I've promised you. And he goes, but Lord, that's not what I want. If your presence doesn't go, we don't want to go.
Yeah.
We want to be in your presence, God. And we don't care about the promises. We don't care about what you're going to give us. We care about being with you in your presence. To worship you, to be in your glory. This is what Christianity is. I want that to become our reality tonight, that would be the thing that we long for, because when that is the reality, when we seek him, when we desire him, when we long to be with him, we become like him.
Yeah.
when we spend time in His presence, we're going to begin to get His heart. Our hearts are going to be transformed. We're going to be made into His likeness. It's like a best friend that you have. There's someone on our team, Peyton, and he's got a friend called Wes. And literally they talk the exact same as each other. They spend so much time together that like their mannerisms are the exact same. They're like the same person in two different bodies because they spend so much time together. Are we representing Jesus? And if not, are we spending enough time with Him? Are we truly reflecting Him in every area of our life?
It's good.
I don't want this to be a heavy thing. I don't know, I'm just getting like encounter myself right now.
It's really good.
When we get His heart, we know that His heart is for the lost. Mark chapter 12, it says this. And just a little bit of context. We come into this place, Mark 12, and there's been so many people that have been asking Jesus questions. There's been the scribes, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. Everyone's trying to come and trick Him, trying to catch Him in a word or in His answer, that they would be able to prove that what He's doing is wrong. And so there's a teacher of the law that comes in Mark chapter 12, verse 28. It says this: one of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating, noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, and he asked him, of all the commands, which is the most important? He's saying, Lord, if out of everything that we've been seeing, all of the law, everything, what's the greatest command? Jesus replied, the most important one, answered Jesus, is this: hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. I just remember reading this scripture and I was going, God, this is it. This is the greatest command. You say it so plainly. The greatest command is this: love you with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And then I was reading it and I go, well, Jesus, why do you answer in two commands when He says, what's the greatest? He says, what's the greatest command? But Jesus replies in two. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And I realized as I was reading this that the two are one.
Yeah.
They cannot be separated. Like, it is impossible to love God and then not love people.
That's wrong.
Right.
They're married together. That when we actually have the love of God in our hearts, when we really do just desire Him, when we're loving Him, our only response would be that we love His people.
That's
Right.
That our hearts are gripped for the lost. That our hearts are gripped for people. That was Jesus' life. In Luke, it says Jesus came to seek and to save that which was lost. We see the Pharisees questioning Jesus again and says, why do you eat with the drunks? Why do you eat with the prostitutes and the tax collectors and the sinners? He goes, I didn't come for the healthy, I came for the sick.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Could that be our life? Could we represent Jesus in that way? Because we are ambassadors of Christ.
Yeah.
It's what we are as Christians. We're His ambassadors, that where we go, we're a representation of Him. Are we living our lives in a way that represents Him truly? Or are we caught up in our own world, trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life? You know, it says in the Bible that if we actually do obey those two commands, it sums up all the law and the prophets. Do you know how crazy that statement is? That, like, I'm going to show you really quickly, that those two commands summed up is that much of the Bible. It's the law and the prophets, and He's saying, I can pretty much sum this up right now to you in this: love the Lord your God and love your neighbor.
So good.
But seriously, it's more than just saying it. I went through my whole life. I'm a pastor's kid, I grew up in the church. I attended services. I mean, you guys attend chapels 3 times a week. I know what it's like to attend services. Right? It could get a little bit repetitive. I grew up in the church. I went to 2 services on Sunday. My parents are like the morning and night people. They're like, if you don't go to the Sunday night service, if like you're not saved, you have to go to both. Not really, that's not what they said, but it was as if they were saying that. I went to life group during the week. I went to youth group, young adults, everything. Like my life was the church. But it was just a reality that I would say, but it wasn't in my heart. Love requires action.
Yes.
Right? Like ladies, just a quick example. If you have a boyfriend or a husband that says he loves you, but never does anything for you, do you feel loved?
No.
Tell me, talk to me.
No.
Right? I can tell my girlfriend, hey, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. But if I never buy her flowers, if I never buy her chocolates, if I never do anything for her, she's like, well, you always say that you love me, but I actually never see it.
Yeah.
Guys, that's a helpful hint for us. We need to do things. Right? In the same way, it's so easy to say, Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. I love my neighbor. I love my neighbor. And we get caught in lip service, but there's never any action. The Christian lifestyle is one that walks, not just talks.
That's real good.
1 John 3:18, it says, let us not love with word or speech, but with actions and in truth. We all know John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. Whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. But it's, for God so loved the world that he gave. Even God, there was an action involved with his love. God didn't hold back anything. He gave it all, everything that he had. He bankrupted heaven with his Son. What would it look like for a generation? What would it look like for a room that didn't hold back the truth about who Jesus is? But that in our love for people we would give. And there'll be action involved. I think if I look to the Bible and I look at someone that I go, who actually got that? Who actually understood what that meant? I instantly just think of the life of Paul. I've been so gripped with the life of Paul lately. And I want to turn to Romans. Romans 1 verse 13. You guys, this the heart of my message is, for so long I just lived myself worrying about me, but recently God's just completely taken my focus off me. I want us to get that tonight.
Yeah.
Like, would our focus come off ourselves and would it be on God and people? Like, let us not look inwardly, but let our focus be outwardly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Paul in Romans 1:16, it says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel because it's the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes. I read this and I was thinking of the life of Paul. I'm not ashamed of the gospel. What made him unashamed? Like this, if you know Paul, which you should all know Paul, I don't know what everyone's studies are. I gather it's a Christian university. You guys have probably heard about him. He's a great guy. But I go, what made him so eager to preach the gospel everywhere he went? What drove this man? Like, he suffered so much persecution. So much that he was put in prison, he was beaten, he was stoned. Like this guy, like what drove him to still preach the gospel? Like, if we look in the Bible, we can see, let me paint this picture for you. In 2 My team made fun of me because I kept calling it 2 Corinthians. Like, is that an Australian thing? Do you just call it 2 Corinthians? So I made a point, if you didn't hear it, I emphasized 2 Corinthians. But like, just think about this. Think about Paul to say this statement that I'm not ashamed of the gospel as I'm reading this. Just like, let that go through your mind as I'm reading this to you. Are they servants of Christ? I am out of my mind to talk like this. I have worked much harder, been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely, and been exposed to death again and again. 5 times. 5 times. Everyone say 5 times.
5 times.
5 times I received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was pelted with stones. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. I've been constantly on the move. I've been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from my fellow Jews, in danger from the Gentiles, in danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at the sea, and in danger from false believers. There was no place that Paul wasn't in danger. Like literally just named everything. He goes, wherever I go, I'm in danger. There's no safe place for me. I have labored and toiled and often gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst and have often gone without food. I have been cold and naked. Besides everything else, I face daily the pressure of my concern for all the churches. Who is weak and I do not feel weak? Who is led into sin and I do not inwardly burn? Are you understanding how crazy that statement is now? For Paul to go through all of that and go, I'm not ashamed of the gospel. I'm thinking, God, what made Paul unashamed? What was it? What did he know? What did he realize? What was the secret that drove him? Because there had to be something, because no man in their right mind would go through all of that if they didn't know the truth about something. And it's the rest of that verse in Romans 1:16. Because he knew that it was the power of God for salvation for anyone who believes. He knew that the gospel had the power to save a soul.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? I'm going to go through anything. I don't care what comes my way. I don't care what happens to me. You can do whatever you want to me. But I am not ashamed of the gospel. Because it is the power to save a soul. I wonder, in this room, have we been almost ashamed of the gospel in some areas of our life? And it's not like you're ashamed where it's, oh, like, no, like, I don't believe that or anything like that. It's ashamed of, are we speaking up when the opportunity is presented in front of us?
Yeah.
Or do we go, oh, I don't know what they're going to think about me. I don't know what they might say about me. Will I be considered like weird or crazy? Like that right there is being ashamed of the gospel.
Yeah.
When we have an encounter with God and become aware of the power that's in the gospel, something needs to shift in our lives. There should be a courage and a boldness that comes, just like in the life of Paul. When he had an encounter, his life drastically changed and he was filled with this courage and boldness that drove him to do insane things. Tonight, could we be filled with a courage and a boldness? Could we walk out of this room, go, from now on, I'm not going to be ashamed of the gospel. I'm taking it everywhere I go.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy as well? Paul's a crazy man. He was wild. No one like him. And I'm at this point where I'm like, God, I want my life to look like Paul. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. I want it. But he was a crazy man. He goes, I would rather be cut off from Christ. I would rather be accursed and cut off from Christ so that they might know him. Think about that statement. Think about what Paul is saying. He's saying, I would rather spend an eternity in hell so that they would know you. Something gripped Paul's heart. There was a love that gripped Paul's heart that drove him to say wild stuff. And he wasn't just saying that. Like Paul wasn't, oh yeah, I wish like I was a guy, but that's impossible, so. Like this was truth. This was Paul going, I wish if they would know him, I would rather me be cut off from Christ so that they would know him. That's the heart of Paul. That's the love that he carried. For God and for people. It's the power that he knew, the truth that he knew in the gospel. I wonder, do we really know the power of the gospel? Do we know the truth that's in the gospel? Have we allowed it to affect our lives in that same way? Because each of us have our own stories. Each of us have a testimony. Like we've all gone, like the gospel, it's broken our addictions, it's broken our shame, it's broken our guilt. When we thought there was no way out, it gave us hope. Like when we thought we were the worst of sinners, caught in our sins, sleeping around, doing drugs, getting drunk, hooking up at parties. When we're in that moment, or we're living that lifestyle, and then the gospel is what set us free. Like that is the power. Think about it. It wasn't just, well, I'm going to go to church. It's the gospel that set us free. Christianity is more than just going to church. Christianity is more than just having a great quiet time, rocking up to the local cafe, getting the perfect Spotify playlist on and getting a nice 20 minutes in the Word. It's more than that.
Yeah.
It's more than trying to get through the week without sinning.
Yeah.
It's more than just going from week to week going, I hope I don't fall into pornography again. Gosh, I hope I can live in purity this week. I hope I don't go and make a silly decision this week and drunk. Gosh. It's more than just going week to week trying not to sin.
It's good, Jesus.
It's a life that is consumed by Jesus and his heart. There's a life that is consumed by the gospel. There's a life of active living. It's not about how much theology we know. It's easy to think that we're more loved and more saved when we know a lot more. Oh wow, I learned so much. Gosh, I'm getting closer to Jesus. Think about, again, Matthew 7. Think about those people that were healing, seeing people physically healed, seeing demons cast out of them. Don't you think they would have thought that they knew Jesus? So in my mind, it's possible to think that we know him and really our hearts are far from him.
It's true.
Do we know him? James says, faith without works is dead. And that's not, I'm not saying tonight it's all about works. It's not about that we have to live a lifestyle of works to be saved. That's not true, because salvation is only by grace, through faith. That's it. You can't earn your salvation. It was a free gift from God. But what James is saying is when you truly are saved, when you truly have the revelation of the love of God, something in your life is going to shift, and there'll be a natural course of works that will follow you. And it's going to be organic. You're not going to have to try and manufacture it. But when you're truly saved and your heart is truly God's, then your heart is going to be gripped for things that you, in your flesh, wouldn't normally be gripped for. You're all of a sudden going to start having compassion on people that are homeless. And have compassion on people that don't know him. Can we walk into a shopping center and not even think twice about the eternity of everyone that we walk past? So I wonder if or I would argue, like if we're not thinking and have a heart that is gripped or burned for the lost, I don't know if we're truly saved. I don't know if we've truly had a revelation of God's love for us. I don't know if we've truly actually had an encounter with Him and met Him.
Yeah.
Or if it's just knowledge. The evidence of our salvation is that we would look like Jesus more and more every single day. That we're on this life of sanctification. And like I said, I'm preaching to myself. This isn't me coming and saying, guys, you're wrong, I'm right. This is, I'm sitting right here, I'm talking to myself too. Because I don't have it perfect and I still find myself consumed with my own life at moments. But it came to a place for me where, and this is part of my testimony, that again, like I said, I'm a pastor's kid. I grew up in the church. I grew up every Sunday going, having discipleship groups, Bible studies, all of that, but I didn't know Jesus. I didn't desire Him. My heart wasn't for Jesus. I was like, okay, I've read my Bible, check. Okay, I've prayed, check. Okay, I've gone to church today. I feel like a good Christian, check. But it was never about actually having a heart after Jesus. But I came to a place where my life was perfect. I was 21. I didn't owe any money on my car. My car was completely paid off. I paid cash for it. I had a job at the Marriott Hotel. Within 3 months of working there, they offered me a promotion to be a front office manager. I had all the friends that I could ever want, all the popularity. I was serving in church. I was doing all these things. Like, life for me was looking perfect. The only thing I lacked was like marriage. And the reason I was working so hard is because my mentors at the time was like, before you get married, you have to have a job, and you have to be able to have a house and provide for your family. And I was like, dang, I'm going to work. Let's go. Like, that was my thing. It was like, dang, I want to get married. I want to have a family. Like, okay, I'm working. I'm going to get money. I'm going to buy a house, and that's it. And so at 21, I had $25,000 in the bank account for a house deposit. My car completely paid off. Promotion on the line. Like, oh, not on the line, but right there for me to grab if I wanted it. But there was something still inside of me that goes, I just feel like there's more. Like, I was just questioning. I was going, God, is this really my life? Is this how I'm going to spend the next 80 years? Just going, working the 9 to 5, getting money, buying houses. My goal was to have 5 houses by the time I was 30. I was like, God, is this my life? Is this my goal? That I would strive to make money, I would just attend church, and then I would just be living comfortably. And I remember just driving to work one day, and I was just driving. I was like, God, I'm not satisfied with this. There has to be more. If this is it, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not content with this. I just said, from that moment, I said, God, I can live this next 80 years trying to make my life more comfortable, or I can live this next 80 years actually working for things that are going to last. And so I said to God in this moment, and this was like a raw conversation. This wasn't like a clean conversation with God. I was like, borderline shouting in my car. People probably looking in thinking I'm weird. But I said, God, from this day forth, I'm done living for myself. I'm done trying to build my own kingdom. I'm done trying to make my life more comfortable. From now on, let me build your kingdom. Let me put my hands to things that are going to last for eternity. And in that moment is when He called me to come to America. I had no idea why. I knew no one in America. I had never thought about America. I had no plan about America. But I started looking at flights, and all of a sudden I saw this flight, but it was leaving in a week, but I just had this sense of peace and I booked it. So all of a sudden I'm going to America in a week. Craziest thing I've ever done. But when God really grips your heart, you'll do crazy things
It's true.
that aren't going to seem normal. And so I flew. Again, no plan, nothing. The night before, I got connected with a person that was part of the Carry the Love team. And that was a night to stay for me, the first night when I landed in America, because still, the day before I was going to fly out, I didn't know where I was going to sleep. My mum was freaking out. She's like, but there's guns in America. Like, it's okay, Ma, it's okay. God's got my back. No, I didn't say that. And so I flew out with just my first night plan. That was it. And it was just faith. And then I just ended up staying there. It was instant family. I saw this community of people that loved God and were so passionate about making Him known. And they're a family. I go, God, I've been in church my whole life and I've never seen anything like this. Is this what it really looks like to be a Christian? And so I stayed there 2 weeks. I'm still there living in the house. What was supposed to be one day, I felt like I was definitely overstaying my welcome. So I was like, all right, what's my next move? Got to get out of here or else they're going to hate me. And then someone's like, well, you should just go on tour with them. I was like, you're right, I should. So I jumped in the car, I went on tour, Carry Love tour, and then I'm in Nashville and I have this dream, and this is what changed my life. I had this dream. I asked God for a dream because I heard people talking about dreams and I'd never experienced one before. I said, God, if you speak through dreams, I want to experience it. So 2 nights later, I was in Nashville. He gave me a dream. In the dream, I was walking along this path, sidewalk, I guess. People always come up to me and go, what's a footpath? I don't know, it's a sidewalk. And I'm walking along this footpath and I see my body go to the ground, just lay on the grass, and then I see my spirit leave and go up to heaven, and it's Judgment Day. And I'm there, I'm surrounded by a sea of people. From as far as I can look to the right, and as far as I can look to the left, and as far as I can look up front, and right in the distance, there's these golden gates. I know that I can see everyone's trying to funnel in through this narrow gate. And I'm just struck with fear. I'm just struck, oh my gosh, this is real. I have to give an account for my life to a living God. This isn't just a thought anymore. This is a real life thing that's going to happen. And then all of a sudden I'm at the front of everyone and it's my turn. God says, Jacob, come up here. We're going to walk through your life and see how you live for me. And He takes me by the hand, and in my mind I'm thinking, oh my gosh, He's about to see all the sin I've committed, everything I've done wrong, all the shame, all the guilt, all my thoughts, they're all going to be seen and shown to everyone and to God. But He grabbed my hand and we go into this scene where I'm walking again on another footpath, sidewalk. And there's a lady coming towards me. And it's scary because this is a real life thing that actually happened to me in my life. And this lady's walking towards me. I feel like I'm meant to speak to her and tell her about Jesus. Just ask her if I can pray for her, preach the gospel. And so I'm walking, and then all of a sudden I just see her and I just feel a heart of compassion, I need to tell her. And then instantly the doubts start coming in my mind, the fear starts taking over me. I go, but what is she going to say about me? What is she going to think about me? Am I going to offend her? Am I going to say something wrong? Do I even know the gospel? And so I'm walking and I just let her walk straight past me and I keep walking. And again, my heart was feeling guilt. But then God looked at me and said, Jacob, all I wanted for her to know was the truth about me. All I wanted for her to know was how much I loved her and what I've done for her, but you were so afraid that you didn't say anything. And in that moment, I just felt, God, I'm sorry. I just felt like I missed it. I missed what I was supposed to be doing. And again, we go into another scene. I'm with my cousins this time, and they're not walking with the Lord. They're joking around. They're saying filthy things, all that goodness, which isn't goodness, all that badness. And again, I feel like I'm meant to say something to them. I feel like I'm meant to preach the gospel to them. And again, instantly I get gripped with these thoughts of, what are they going to think about me? Am I going to be considered as that weird family member? That just like a Jesus freak? I feel like I'm meant to preach the gospel, but again, it's just so gripped with fear that I say nothing and I walk out of the room. And God looked at me and said, Jacob, all I wanted for them to know was the truth about me. All I wanted them to know is how much I love them, what I've done for them. And again, we went through another scene, and it was the same thing. And then I woke up. I woke up under the heaviest conviction I've ever felt in my life. I was going, this is what my life is for. God, from this day forth, I don't want to live for anything else apart from loving you and loving people. Billy Graham says this. He says, I'm convinced the greatest act of love we can ever perform for someone is to tell them about God's love for them in Christ. This is one of the greatest evangelists I think we've seen. He's saying the greatest act of love we can do is tell someone about the hope that is in Christ, the hope that can break depression, the hope that can break anxiety, the hope that can break fear, the hope that can break the addictions. So band, you can come up here. We're going to jump into some more worship and just respond. There's a poem I'd like to finish reading. It's by a man called C.T. Studd. Some of you may have heard of him. He was a famous cricketer and was making a lot of money, had a lot of honor, a lot of reputation. His whole family, I think he's like one of like a bunch of boys, like 5 boys or something, and they all were professional cricketers. Cricket's like baseball, except like instead of this, you like hit it like this, for those that don't know. It's a professional sport in other countries. It's not here. And he got saved. And I'm going to read this poem that he wrote. But this man, when he got saved, he said some ridiculous things. I'm going to pull it up really quickly. He says, when he was converted, he said, right then and there, a joy and a peace came into my soul and knew what it was to be born again. And he said, the Bible that once was so dry and dead to me came alive. And he says this, I'll get into the poem, but just a few things that he said that marked his life. He goes, I knew cricket would not last, honor would not last, nothing in this world would last. But it's worthwhile living for the world to come. And so in his 20s, he went and became a full-time missionary to China. And then after China, he came back. And then he went to India. And then he went to Africa, where he was dying. And he ended up passing away. But he understood something. He understood what our life was about. And I want to finish by reading this poem. It says, 2 little lines I heard one day, traveling along life's busy way, bringing conviction to my heart and from my mind would not depart. Only one life 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Only one life, yes, only one. Soon will its fleeting hours be done. Then in that day my Lord to meet and stand before his judgment seat. Only one life 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Only one life, the still small voice gently pleads for a better choice, bidding me selfish aims to leave and to God's holy will to cleave. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Only one life, a few brief years, each with its burdens, hopes and fears, each with its clays I must fulfill, living for self or in his will. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. When this bright world would tempt me sore, when Satan would have a victory score, when self would seek to have its way, then help me, Lord, with joy to say, only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Give me a Father purpose deep, in joy or sorrow thy word to keep, faithful and true, whatever the strife, pleasing thee in my daily life. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Oh, let my love with fervor burn, and from the world now let me turn, living for thee and thee alone, bringing thee pleasure on thy throne. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Only one life, yes, only one. Now let me say, thy will be done. And when at last I hear the call, I'll know, I'll say, was worth it all. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. This man understood that there was one life that he had to live. A short moment here on earth, in the eyes of eternity. 80 years in the eyes of eternity. He said, I only have one life. What am I going to live for? Only what's done for Christ will last. Because I can work, I can get the honor, I can get the fame, I can get people to like me, I can get accepted by people, I can have wealth, I can have the perfect career, I can have all that, but at the end of the day, at the end of my 80 years or so, that's going to fade away. It's not going to last. It's going to be destroyed. I can't take that to heaven with me. So he says, only one life. It soon will be past. Only what I do for Christ will last. Because we can spend this lifetime working for things that will make our lives more comfortable, or we can spend this lifetime building and establishing the kingdom of God. I wonder tonight what you'll choose. What are you going to live your life by? Because you have one. I have one. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to be known for? At the end of the day, when we die, are people going to say, oh, that man was awesome. Everyone loved him. He was just funny. He was popular. He had wealth. He had the amazing house. Like, look at this man. He was awesome. Or are they going to say, that man loved God and he loved people and he was gripped with the gospel?
Yeah.
What would you rather have said about you? We live in a culture where it's so it's bombarding us everywhere we look, that our life is about going to college, studying for 4 years, getting a career, slaving away in our job that we hate for 30, 40 years, trying to earn money, trying to save up wealth, trying to get a nice house and a nice family, so that then we can retire for 10, 15 years and go and work on our golf game and have a nice house and go on cruises around the world, go to on vacations, and then we'll die. That's what we've been told. People actually put billions and billions of dollars into advertising that to us.
Yeah.
That, hey, this is what your life is for. Go get a career, get the stuff, live for yourself, and then just be happy. Go retire. No stress, stress-free. But that's not Bible. A lot of the time I think the church has often tried to bring the American dream and Christianity together. That, hey, yeah, just go to church, love God, but then you can still go get your career, have the nice family, live for retirement, and that's it. I would argue that the American dream and Christianity can't actually go together.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know that's a bold statement, but
I would say
I just, reading through my Bible, reading through the book of Acts, reading through the New Testament, I don't see how we can do both.
Yeah.
It's so clear how we're meant to live. That even if we were blessed with wealth, our hearts would be so gripped to give it away to those that don't have anything. As Carry the Love, we believe that complacent Christianity isn't Christianity at all. That passivity has plagued the church for too long. And it's got to shift, it's got to change. That we can't look at the way our world is today and just be okay with it.
Yeah.
And just worry about ourselves. That's not true Christianity. We can't look at 2 billion people that have never heard the gospel before and be okay with just living our life and trying to get a career. We can't be okay with the people that are caught in sex trafficking. And it's, well, someone else will do it.
Right.
The pastor will do it. Maybe they might find their way to a church one day. You see how messed up that is? So we have one life, and it will soon be past. And I wonder, what are you going to give it to? So can we all stand? We're going to go back into the time of worship. We're just conversing. It's okay. So I think in response to this, maybe you're thinking, hey, maybe I've been caught up in complacent Christianity. Maybe I fully haven't been living, giving everything to Jesus. And it's not like you've done it on purpose. It's not like you're intentionally doing it. It's just that we don't know. It's just like me. I grew up 23 years in the church and I didn't know. And so tonight, I want to ask, I think there's a moment of surrender here tonight where we can, and I'm involved in this again, where it's saying, you know what, Jesus, maybe I've been living for myself. Maybe there's things that are still in my life that I have that I need to get rid of. Tonight, I think there's surrender. You want to say, I'm done with complacent Christianity. I'm done just living in this false idea of what Christianity is, about going to church, about just attending chapel services, about all this. Tonight, I want my life to be marked with purpose. I want it to be marked with the gospel. Lord, I want you to use my life. I don't want to get to the end of my life and realize that I've wasted it on nothing. So tonight, if that's you, I want to ask just for a bold, I don't know if you have anything, but I just want to ask you to be bold. And there's an interaction, a transaction with you and God tonight where you just come down the front at the altar and you just surrender what you need to surrender. If you're saying, I'm done with complacent Christianity, come. If you're done saying, I'm done with fear, come. If you're done, hey, I still have sin in my life that I need to be dealt with, come. Tonight's the night of freedom. Tonight's the night of truth. Tonight's the night where we don't walk out of this building the same, but we walk out activated in truth, in love.
If that's you, I just want you to come forward right now. Things happen with God when you're hungry, when you're like sick of the way that your life looks and you want something different. God doesn't do something in your life when you're just going about your way, doing your own thing. Like He actually gives you over to that lifestyle, and He lets you stay there because you've decided, I don't want God, I don't need anything further from Him. This is how I want to walk. But when you are faced with your reality of, oh my gosh, I don't like my life, like this isn't it, just like Jacob, like this can't be it, like this can't be the end, and you're like hungry for God and you cry out and you scream, I want more, like there has to be more than this, like what I know right now is a joke, like I'm supposed to sit at a desk the rest of my life and have numbness in my heart where there's stuff with my family that like sucks, like it's awful and it's horrible, and rejection and pain and depression, people doing drugs. Literally, there's parents that you guys have right now that do like prescription medication to numb themselves so they can be okay. I don't know if that's any of you where that's your parent and you look at your parent's life and you're like, is that it? Like that's what life is? That I have to numb myself to be okay? And God's saying, no, that's not it. Like, I want your whole heart. I want all of your emotions. I want everything. I want to actually give you a life of abundance. That the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he's stolen a lot from all of your guys' lives. But what you have in Christ is that you get life abundant with Him. You get to walk with Him. And He gives you power that other people don't have. Like, Christianity is not powerless. It's not like, oh, I'm a sinner saved by grace. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm a sinner saved by grace. This is my life. I'm just barely making it by. Like, I'm just barely making it. But I'm a sinner and God loves me. And God loves me so much. But you're literally still like oppressed by the enemy. You're enslaved to sin. You're taking medicine just to be okay. And you have no like actual joy in your life. Because you know a Christian's life should be marked by overflowing, overwhelming joy. That's like literally unusual and almost radical. There's this guy in my life, I know we're going long, but you guys like, this is so good. There was a guy in my life and he was, I volunteered with him at a church that I was at, and he was offensively joyful. Like it annoyed the crap out of me. Like, because I looked at his life and I was like, this guy is fake. There's no way any normal person could be like as happy and as confident and as loving and as filled with light that this guy was. I was like, he's fake. I actually was really upset by him because he wouldn't sit with me in my pity and feel bad with me. Because I was turned into myself as a Christian, trying to just make it through, like, how, you know, like, me, I'm thinking about me, and he loved God. And I got so annoyed by him, and I finally listened to him, and I was like, how do you have this much joy? And he's like, the righteousness of God in the Holy Spirit. The right standing before God, that when I step on the throne and God looks at me, I'm righteous. Like He sees me pure and holy and blameless. I'm so accepted by God that literally no other human could ever reject me. Nothing any of you guys said to me would do anything to me. It doesn't stand up to the truth of God. I have the freedom to walk in the confidence and the love of Christ because I have righteousness in the Holy Spirit. There's some of you guys that don't have righteousness in the Holy Spirit. You don't have that revelation or that understanding, where you're powerless and you're easily rejected and easily offended, actually. We're not supposed to be offended as Christians either. That's a fun one. So if you... I feel like there's more people in here that are not coming forward out of fear. And so what I want you to do is I want you to turn to the person next to you. Grab them by the shoulders. Face to face. Face to face. Look them in the eye. Do you know Jesus? Do you love him with your whole entire heart? Have you given everything to him? If that answer is no, you need to come forward. If there's emotions that grip in your heart and you're starting to cry, you need to come forward. We want to pray for you. We want to love you. We want you to step into your next step with God, which is going out and telling other people the love of God. The Salvation team, Salvation Connect team, can you guys come up here? I just release you guys to start praying individually for people. And then we're going to respond in worship. And if there's anybody that is surrendering their life to Jesus for the first time, where you were saying, I was dead, I didn't know God, I thought I knew God, I went to church and I read my Bible, but I didn't know God, and you're giving your life, come to one of us. We want to actually lead you in turning from sin and entering new life with God.
I will love you with my heart and with my obedience. I will love you with my heart, Jesus. I will love you with my heart and with my obedience. I will love you with my heart, Jesus. I will love you with my heart and with my obedience. I will love you with my heart, Jesus. I will love you with my heart and with my obedience. I will love you with my heart, Jesus. I will love you with my heart and with my obedience. I will love you with my heart, Jesus. I will love you. I will love you with my heart and with my obedience. I will love you with my heart, Jesus. I will love you with my heart and with my obedience. I will love you with my heart, Jesus. Oh yes, I will love you with my heart and with my obedience. I will love you with my heart, Jesus. It's my joy, it's my joy to lose my life, find it in Jesus Christ, find it in Jesus Christ. Oh, it's my joy to lose my life, find it in Jesus Christ, find it in Jesus Christ. Oh, it's my joy to lose my life, find it in Jesus Christ, find it in Jesus Christ. Oh, it's my joy to lose my life. They bow before your throne. And all the elders cast their crowns before the Lamb of God and sing, you are worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You are worthy. You are worthy of it all. Yes, you are. You are worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. Yeah, all the same. All the saints and angels, they bow before your throne. And all the elders cast their crowns before the Lamb of God and sing, you are worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all, Jesus. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You are worthy of it all, Jesus. You are worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all. And it's my joy to give you my all, Lord. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. Worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You are worthy. You are worthy of it all. You are worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. 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 Always sing. You deserve the glory. You deserve the glory. You deserve the glory. to this Christian college and you've grown up in a Christian family, but you're here today and you're singing this song, but you still have questions and you still don't, there's something in your mind that's doubting, and I know because I've been there. And it's hard and you feel guilty and you feel shame, like how can I sing this song when I don't truly know? And I have all these questions about God, about creation, about the goodness of God, about whether He exists. What about Jesus? What about this sermon that I just heard? And we're singing this song and there's something in you that's like, I don't know. Like, I want to truly believe this, but I just have these questions. I have been there. But I feel like the Lord wants to emphasize something about the mystery of the goodness of God. And it's something about the mystery that we can't take away from Him. We can't level Him down to our ground. It's the mystery of God that keeps us in awe. The things that we can understand and we can comprehend, we'll never be able to be in awe of. Faith is something that we use when we can't see. We can't see it. Humility pleases God and faith pleases God. But not knowing everything is a part of being humble. Not needing to know everything. Not knowing everything, but knowing that the Lord's God in any way is faith, and that's what pleases God. And the fact that I can look back on my life, I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the questions, like answers to all the questions. And earlier I felt like I have no right to be up here when I have all these questions sometimes. But then the Lord reminded me, it's the mystery, Ari. It's the mystery that draws you in and keeps you in awe of me. I'm God. I'm bigger than you could ever imagine. I live inside of you. I hold the world. I set it in motion. I carved the canyons. I filled up the oceans. He is God. And we don't have to know everything. And we don't have to feel shame. You don't have to feel shame that you know everything or that you don't know everything. And I feel like the Lord wants to remind you of that today as we sing this song. God, you're worthy of it all. You're worthy of my not knowing. You're worthy of my questions. But I love you anyway because I can look back on my life and see how faithful you were every time. I can't question the goodness of God when I look back on my testimony. I can't question the goodness of God when I see how He brought me through. When He asked me to move away from home, all the way from Michigan, and drive by myself as a 20-year-old all the way to California, not knowing where I was going to live, not knowing how I was going to make money. He told me not to get a job. I had no clue. I lived in Redding for 4 months. The first month I had no friends. It was the best month of my life. Because all of the time I spent in the presence of God. I knew no one else, but I knew God, and that was enough. Second month was more of an average month, but the third month, the car fire hit our city. And I was alone, and I woke up one morning and the sky was orange and ash was falling from the sky. I didn't know what to do. I had no family in Redding. I had my truck and my little bug out bag, and that was it. And the Lord had told me to leave. I had no idea where to go, but He said, Ari, leave early. Everybody thought I was crazy. So I got in my truck and I drove 3 hours south to Chico. And I had no clue. I sat at a bakery there, I opened my Bible. I had like $5 in cash, part of it I used to pay for parking. And I sat there with my little Danish and my Bible, and I was like, God, my city's on fire. I'm 32 hours from home. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm 20 years old. Help me. My cousin texts me. This is a testimony. My cousin texts me and she says, hey Ari, there's these people down in San Luis Obispo, which was 6 hours from where I was down south by LA. And it's this vacation town. And if people ever want to go there, you have to save so much money to go there because it just costs a lot. It's this Spanish town on the beach, this surfer town. It's like super nice. There's a farmer's market every Thursday. It's beautiful. There's lights strung above the street. It's amazing. And my friend said, Ari, but I didn't know that until I got there. My friend said, Ari, there's this family and they just texted me and said that they want you to come stay with them if you have to evacuate somewhere. And so I was like, yes, God, send me. So I pack up my stuff again. I'm hot, I'm tired. I drive 6 hours to SoCal.
slow as San Luis Obispo, by the way. As I'm driving, you guys, I'm freaking out. I have worship music on because I'm trying to keep my mind like, God, where are you in this? I literally drive for 5 hours through dead grass hills, and half of the hills are burnt from other fire. And when I get there, I come to this town, and I find this family having no idea how I'm gonna pay for anything. And the first thing that happens when I pull up to this family's house is they open the door and they start running out to me and they say, we have one rule, and that it's that you let us take care of you and spoil you for as long as you need. The first night I was there, they took me out to dinner. I had my own room. They paid for everything for 2 weeks I lived in this town until the air cleared up back home. They paid for every single thing and more. And the Lord humbled me so much, and he said, Ari, I want to give you the desires of your heart. I want to give you the things that you love. I want to bless you. I'm taking care of you. And I say all that to say that when I have questions about Jesus, about creation, about science, about whatever it is, I look back on that moment and I say, I can't doubt. There's no way that wasn't God. And I just feel like the Lord is wanting to say, look back on those moments on your life where there is no question that it was me working there. That there's no doubt in your mind. Sing this song out of a place, out of that well. Sing this song out of reminding yourself, this is what the Lord did for me, and I know it was the Lord. And any doubt is not there. I love the mystery. I love